Okay, so we are another day on. You're starting to feel this is like a really duff Danny Boyle film. One day on instead of, what's it called, 28 days later. Anyway, as you may be able to tell, the brush and that are definitely hardened. So you can follow me demolding this, and hopefully I'm going to have a mold that I can then turn into a part. So let's go. Let's get out of the way first. I think I might have to sort those out. Right, I'll leave those with you. You fix them for me. That brush has had it. That's not quite how I planned the wheel removal. So now I'm in here. Obviously I haven't demolded it all, but I can see around this turning edge piece, I haven't done a very good job of getting the fiberglass to stick. So I think what I need to do is trim that back and put another layer of fiberglass on there, especially areas like this where it's gone a bit wobbly. Yeah, unfortunately that delays the whole process a bit, but I think that's going to be wise to do. The little lip in thing is quite important, partly because it gives it a bit more rigidity, but also I've just been reading through the IVA stuff again, and of course they're really hot on all this radius stuff, so I need to make sure it's sort of nice, kind of rounded rather than any sharpish or square edges. So I think whilst it's still in the mould, it's going to be wise just to clean those bits up a bit. I thought I'd let you know what I'm wearing today, because I am a fashion icon and you need to know. Right then, so we are going to try and demold where we left off last time. So you won't be surprised to hear me say this is the next day. Those bits I've put in are now hardened. So what I'm going to need to do is use the trusty Dremel, and I'm going to wear some gloves this time, you'll be pleased to know, to cut these off, and then hopefully we're going to demold this. So fingers crossed, let's go for it. Right, I'm going to trim around the edges now. So this is how we're looking. Not too bad. Pretty grubby at the moment, so I'm going to give it a good wash down inside and out, because I'm going to be taking this upstairs into my office to do the carbon layer, so I don't want it leaving all this dust everywhere. So good hose down. Once it's all clean, I can then decide what I'm going to do with that. And there's obviously a couple of other little blemishes along the lines. Anyway, that gives a very good opportunity whilst that's drying to have a cup of coffee. Did any of you notice the slight oversight I made in the video about this, moving the A-arm position up a bit higher to get better camber? So I made that all hunky-dory. Totally forgot that it has 2 mounting points. I thought somebody might have noticed that and pointed it out to me. Or did you assume that someone building a car wouldn't make such a stupid oversight? I've also just been welding in a couple more of these gussets. Can't fully weld them until I can move the build table round again. But I got a sort of 3/4 weld, so there's one there, that's in addition to the one there, and the ones I've got up on the top. The only ones left to do is I want to put one in there, that's right. So that's the one just in front. That's the bar that goes across. Where are we? If I just pan back and show you. So that'll be in there. And I think that'll be it. Oh, I'll have something here for the steering thing as well. I'll probably have a bar going up. Yeah, I'll have something on the steering thing here. So where that bar goes across to the side, some sort of side protection, I suppose. I'll have a bar going up to the steering bracket, and then maybe down to there. Would be handy because then it helps with the sort of dashboard sort of mount as well, so I've got somewhere sort of behind to support. It's only bitten me again, hasn't it? So the wind just caught that. I went to grab it so it didn't fall, and it managed to kind of razor down my hand. I don't know, sometimes you think like inanimate objects have got it in for you and they're all trying to attack and injure you. So I got my old friend the nose cone out, so I'm going to try that as a theory. If you remember, we had quite a lot of little blemishes like that one there that I think may well have been bubbles in the resin. So I just happen to have a down there a little vacuum chamber that I had for previous projects, so I'm going to degas the resin and paint it on and see if it then goes on without those blemishes. I don't know if you can see there, it's actually loads of tiny little bubbles in there now, as we've got a much better vacuum. I'm having to squeeze and hold pipes and unkink stuff and all sorts. I'm going to leave that going for a little bit. Can only hope that there's less gas in there, so I'm going to paint it on and I'll show you the results later. I've done that, and I've done this little bracket, and then I noticed this starting to smoke. For some reason it went thermal. Now I'm 99% certain I've mixed that in the correct proportions. It is pretty warm today, like 30 odd degrees, but I can't imagine that would have caused it. Could degassing cause that to happen? It's good, obviously it's what's in there has gone solid. I don't know if anyone knows about this kind of thing. Normal place, stick it in the comments. Obviously I'd put a little bit of this blingy glitter in. This glitter is designed for going in nail polish, which, as is also, I believe, they're kind of resins, I thought would be okay, but could that cause it? I don't know, the smaller bits seem okay. So there's like a blob there, that's sort of reacting normally. I don't know, something weird. Guess what? We're next day. So degassing this, obviously ignoring the how hot it got and it went thermo, what's the name? I did wonder what temperature it has to get to before it actually makes the paper cup catch fire. Anyway, it does seem to have helped with the bubbles, but there are certainly still some of those tiny little pinhole things. I'm also pleased with the little bit of glitter I put in. I did put in some stuff that says black holographic, which is not so noticeable. Anyway, so I'm fairly pleased with that. It's better than it was. It's still not perfect, but I think quite clearly perfection can only be got either by pre-peg or spending a lot of time rubbing this down and flatting and polishing, which maybe one day, but not today. Right, so back to the main thing, and we are the little bits I've put in, I've hardened overnight, so I'm going to just rub these down to smooth them in, and then we'll be ready to start doing the coats and coats and coats of releasing agent. So I've painted 6 layers of mold release on the inside of that now. I've got my peel ply ready. I've got my breathing layer ready. I just now need to get my carbon ready and the resin ready. I've just hit a snag. So that is the largest vacuum bag I have, which is clearly not big enough. So I can't vacuum this. So I think what I'm going to do is keep gravity on my side, do the bottom bit, wait until it gets to a good tack so as it can't move, and then do one side and then the other side. So at no point then is it sort of gravity trying to make it fall off. It's not ideal, but I suppose we have to do what we can do, don't we? I wanted that cut reasonably well into there because I'll put these layers on top with a bit of overlap, so that's the edge that will show. Hopefully that's going to be okay, and the rest of these I'll cut once it's kind of in there. Right, do I bother trying to weigh to measure out resin? So that's about 45 grams. So I need a little bit more spare for that nose. So I'm going to go 3 times as much. So I'm going to mix up 150. In fact, I'll mix up 140 because it's easier with this stuff. So it'll be 100 of this. Right, so I'm going to mix up 100. And I'm also going to put a little smidge of my blingy glitter in again. Because it went off so quickly yesterday, I'm actually going to put slightly under on the hardener because I don't want it setting off too quickly, and I think it might because it's so hot. First we need a little bit of the blingy in. Didn't show all that much, that black, but one healthy spoon of that. I'm actually going to get myself a new mixer. So I'm going to put this in just slightly under. So I should put 41 in. So I'm going to put, there's a fly gone in it. I'm going to put just a little bit under, so I'm going to put 35 in. I've got the window open so I can chuck it out the window if it's going to catch on fire or anything. Try and find a brush that I had ready. I now can't find. Get a new brush because that one's just run away. I always advise to just make sure there's no loose bits. Right, I'm going to paint this on. Right, this was silly idiot forgot to cut that bit out first. Can you just see in this area here, so this is another lesson learned. That's where the carbon, because I only use one layer, we're seeing all the little gaps and you're seeing the white of the fiberglass in behind. So lesson learned there is use the black pigment in if you're going to put fiberglass behind. So this one's all in. You can see I've given it a good old roller with the peel ply as well, and it's doing its job of soaking up the excess. Although I didn't think I had enough, I've clearly had far too much. So that lot will be left overnight. I'm going to make up my mind in the morning whether to give it extra layers with it still in the mould, or try and demould the one layer, because I think because it's more flexible it would be easier to demould. Anyway, I'll see. I'll give it a little tweak in the morning and see how it goes. So yet again, that's another, well, not a day's work, 'cause it's a few hours, but I can't do anything again till tomorrow. Guess what? It's next day. So my plan is to get the peel ply off and then decide what I'm going to do next. I think this has done a pretty good job actually of soaking up the excess. Now the question is to demould and then put another, and then fiberglass, or fiberglass and then demould. Which do you think I'm going to do? Yeah, you can see how bendy it is, so I'm actually going to fiberglass first against what my let's see what it's like. Yeah. So I'm going to go on with that. I'm sure you don't need to see me do yet another layer of fiberglass, and I can listen to Glastonbury instead of having to have no music on. So what I'm going to do is use some of that unidirectional that Neil was good enough to give me, and I'm going to put that on key points, so like on the corners here and down this bit and on these edges, to give that a real good bit of strength. Because if you think when something bends, most of the bending comes from kind of one place, doesn't it? So I'm going to strengthen up some key points, then I'll put a layer of that 250 in, so that should give it a nice bit of strength. Then I'll let that set, then I'll demould, and when I'm then demolded I can flex it around a little bit and decide if it needs any more. Now to Glastonbury. So I've got it out and it's got just the one layer with a couple of little bits of extra support. The reason I didn't do the whole thing is when I started doing it I noticed some bits were what I thought were bubbles, and I'm quite right. So that section there is obviously kind of pulled in from the mould, and a little bit there, but the whole bit along the side has. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that bit and that bit out, put it back in the mold and redo those bits. I think it should work out okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to slice it off on both sides. I think the problem is going around the corner here. I made it a bit sharp, but also I used the carbon that's treated so as it doesn't fray. It doesn't fray as much with a big fray, but it doesn't fray as much, but it's actually slightly stiffer. So I might do that with 200, although I have just spent, I'll just show you. So this is the latest order. Eek. But what I have ordered is some, where are we? That's the 210 that I've used. Oh, some 90 grams, so it's a lot thinner because for going around those corners and stuff. So I might wait till that arrives tomorrow. I'll see how I feel in a second when I cut it off. So I got it out the mold. Obviously, as I said before, I didn't put too much effort into making the mold perfect by any means, so I'm gonna have to paint on a layer of the resin on the outside to try and get a good finish. But I think we're okay. You know, some idiot didn't even think to line up those, but maybe that gives it a different look in the opposite directions. I bet I probably lined up on one side and not the other. And it needs a bit of extra strengthening in a couple of places, but it's not too bad, so I should get on with that. Wow, this is the wheel arch on the car. It's looking pretty scruffy at the moment, so I'm going to rub all that back down, get it all nice and smooth for a final coat or two of this lacquer. So round here I haven't got the curve quite right. Obviously I'm too close to the tyre here. That's easily solved with doing a little straight, but I feel, so the wheel at the moment is in the position that it will be. It's about in when the car's just sat. So I obviously need, the gap here is a bit big, isn't it? So I think some of those curved bits I printed, what I'll do is I'll print a couple more of them and put them on the inside, and then I can then put a layer of carbon on the outside. Also, it's obviously quite wobbly like that. It's not fully bolted to the floor, but I think what I'll do with that is the same as I did for the buck, is I will put a bracket across inside and fiberglass that in, so that will give it quite a lot more stiffness. If you think if a bracket goes across there, it's effectively triangulated. So this video is definitely long enough now, I think. I'm probably going to start on the other side and also some of the welding, and I'll have a little think about that sort of curve. I can see it there, look, that curve there. So I'm not going to rush into anything, but I will get it sort of 90% finished before then. So until next time, bye.